Good morning, everybody. It's a beautiful morning. It's June 2nd today. John with Foodscaping Utah here, and I wanted to do a quick tour of our front yard foodscape, and I'm really excited to get to that. But before we do, I just wanted to say that it was an incredible May this year. If you've been following along with our nonprofit, you know that we help people get started growing food. And this May, we transformed 4 front yards every Saturday in May, and we replaced 3,000 to 4,000 square feet of grass with foodscapes that grow the most nutritious and delicious food. So if you want to learn more about that, check out our website, foodscapingutah.org. And without further ado, let's take a look at our foodscape. This side over here is phase 2. And it's a good example where you can still produce a lot of food and make it look really nice. So in this video, I've got lots of tips on how to grow a lot of food and how to make it look good. So I'm gonna flip the camera around and we'll start here in phase 2. Okay, so here is an example of how we interplant and multi-crop space. So you can see we've got lettuce growing here that's doing really well, and we've already had a bunch of harvest, and you can see we got a bunch more to harvest today, but it's growing in the same space where these tomatoes are. And when the tomatoes are small, they don't really need all of the space, so you can get an early lettuce crop beforehand. And these tomatoes are going to grow up and over this cattle panel arch, and let's see, let's head this way. Here we've got another row of lettuce. Looks really nice with tomatoes, and then in some of the gaps we're also growing, this is leek, and then we've got some alyssum flowers. You can see there's some parsley there. We like to mix in a lot of herbs and flowers. That makes it look nice, but it also helps with attracting beneficial insects. This is hazelnut. We like to do a lot of nuts and fruit trees as well, and those are peas, and they're growing up and over this arch, which will, after the peas are done, we'll transplant in pumpkin actually. So and then over here for more flowers, we've got lavender. This is yarrow, it's about to flower. And this is one of my favorite features of our entire foodscape. This is a Belgian fence Espalier apples, okay? And we've been training this, so if you want to know, see the history of this, you can look back at some of our other videos. But here's an apple that we need to thin right here. But you can see we've got fruit set and we're about filling it in. And if you're curious about the apple bags, that keeps the codling moth larva out of the bags, the apple worm, so you can check that out on our website or Facebook. We've got lots of information on that. There's also a YouTube video. So this is Flagstones, and that's actually elfin thyme in the cracks there. So you can eat that thyme. It's really mostly used for a ground cover. And then we've got more leeks, and here we've got an eggplant that's doing pretty well. And this is a almond tree. It's a dwarf almond tree. All in one is the variety, and it's actually a little bit too young to be supporting all this harvest right now, or all these nuts. So we'll actually want to thin those off, but those are baby almonds. Hopefully we can get to that now. So let's go ahead and walk over to what we call phase 2, which is a little bit different design. It's got raised beds. It's still designed with fruit trees and a variety of things. This is a grapevine here, you can see. And it's gonna have a decent amount of grapes on it. And this is a trellis. We've got videos on that if you wanna see how we did that. Here, then, we've got cabbage coming. Cabbage. This is kale, a purple kale. These are collard greens, and this is a new mustard variety for us. This is called Dragon's Tongue. Planted it mostly as an ornamental, but it's going to be pretty good too. This is artichoke coming, and you can see we've got more leeks in the gaps. We really like leeks, and strawberries, and if we're lucky we might be able to find a ripe strawberry too. Yeah, strawberries are some of our first fruits that we get, that and honeyberry. I'll show you some plants in a second. This is radicchio. first time we're trying that. And then as we come around here, you can see there's marigolds mixed in along with the leeks and strawberries again. And then here we start kind of a pattern of carrots, onions, beets, more carrots, and then as you can see on the end there, we have kohlrabi. We already harvested a couple of those. Kind of hard to see. I'll get a better angle in a second, but that's a white kohlrabi. It's super delicious. Cabbage family. It's a brassica. Tastes a little bit like cabbage, but it's like a root. Like, we like it better than cabbage. Really good, just like beets. But you can see going this way, it's a row of carrots, and then here we have a pattern. This is actually chamomile. So it's chamomile, onion, onion, chamomile, onion, onion, right? And then the beets on the inside there. And since the beets are about ready to harvest, you can see we'll be pulling those out, and that'll give the onion and the carrots more space. You can see there's one. If you can see it, it's hard to do. There you go. Zoom in there, or focus on that. You can see it has some leaf miner damage, and that's something that early in the season we just try to monitor for. And it's we just rub the eggs off. But later in the season, like now, when these are about ready to harvest, we don't do as good a job as we could. If you've got a really bad leaf, you can just take it out where it's got a lot of damage, because that's not doing much for the plant anymore. But we're still getting a real good harvest. You can see I started them in clumps, right? And then what we do is just spin out the biggest one, twist that out and harvest the biggest one, and then you can leave the others to grow on a little longer. Let's see, more carrots over there, and then here's a tall variety of peas, doing well, starting to flower. It's getting pretty tall. That'll go up. Here we've got turnip, and daikon radish, and those are almost done also, so they'll come out, and summer squash will go in there. Before we round the corner here, we just want to show you our pluots that are getting a little too big. So we use summer pruning to keep them small and managed, so this is going to need some serious pruning now, but we are super excited for the fruit. We just got done thinning all our fruit trees. Okay, let's see if we can find a couple pluots. So yeah, there's one, there's one, there's one. So we try to thin them to about 6 inches. You can see that's pretty good. And we're super excited for those. Those are usually beginning of August is when those start to ripen. And then on this side, you can see it's kind of a mirror of the other side. So we've got the radicchio, artichoke, the mustard, collard, kale, and then the strawberries. And then what's a little different here is we have peppers and celery, and interplanted in that space is we have the spinach. So there's a row of spinach that's kind of behind it while the peppers and the celery were small, and that's coming out now. As you can see, it wants to flower. So we'll just cut all of that out, and we can blanch it or eat it, blanch it and freeze it, that is. And then there was also kohlrabi in there, so let's see if we can get a cool shot of kohlrabi. There's the white variety, and look at this monster purple variety. And you can see these had hail damage. So the hail kind of makes it not as pretty. As you can see, it was beautiful before that, but that's okay. We're still going to get a good harvest. Things are bouncing back. We definitely did have some damage, but not too bad. This is our one bed veg. You can check out those videos on Instagram if you haven't seen those. And you know, it's lettuce, carrots. So we got lettuce, carrots, onion, beets, more carrots. We love those so much. These are our peppers, and here's where we just cut out spinach so you can have an idea of how much space that opens up. And here's more lettuce, and we need to get that picked so that the tomato has more space. The lettuce will probably hold on another couple weeks. And this is a dwarf variety of peas, which is really nice because they only grow about 3 feet, 2 to 3 feet, and then they already start producing. So you can see we've got a ton of snap peas on here. This variety is called Sugar Bon. And then we will transplant in there some butternut squash that we just started a few days ago, as soon as that's out. And then let's turn around this way. This is a honeyberry bush, kind of in a shadow, but you get an idea. This is a mature one. It's about 7 years old now. Honeyberries we love because it's one of the very first fruits that we have. So we've already been eating those. They're about done already actually, but along with early strawberries, those are our earliest fruit. This is our Nectarine tree. This variety is called Heavenly White. Let's see how well we thinned it. Yeah, looks like we thinned it pretty well, right? That's about 6 inches. So these make super delicious, really big nectarines, and you really got to thin it well. We actually did have one branch break once. And you know, thinning, a lot of people hate to do it, and it is hard, but it makes for bigger, tastier fruit, and it helps with the branch breakage, of course, but then also it ensures you get a good crop next year so you can avoid alternate bearing. This is a pear tree, Haro Delights the variety. You can see it's got the bags on it also. Lots of good fruit on there. And then here, if I can pan out and back up, this is a Espalier row, European pear on the end. This is Asian pear, looking really good. And the last one here in the row is a 3-tiered apple. So with this Espalier, it's a 3 or 4 tier design actually. Now that I think of it, we've got 4 wires, and the branches are trained horizontally onto tiers, right? And then the other end that we started the video with was a Belgian fence. So I just got one more thing, and then we can start wrapping up the video. This is our non-Perel full-size almond tree, and we just love it. It's a beautiful tree. The other thing that it does is this is the west side of our house. It shades that big window there. So, and then the leaves fall off, of course, and let the sun in the winter. But we love almonds, and this is the only tree that we let get really big, almonds, because you can shake it to get the harvest. You don't have to try to get up to the top of that tree, which I don't know how tall that is, probably almost 30 feet by now. Okay, before the end of the video, I just wanted to add a few quick keys to success. Soil and water and sun are your main keys. You want to focus on that. Our raised beds have excellent soil. We usually recommend starting with a 50-50 mix of topsoil and compost, but then ours also have a lot of added organic matter like coffee grounds. You can use grass clippings if you have them. Brown leaves in the fall are excellent. You want to have a very rich soil for vegetables. As far as fruit trees, pruning is super important. Pest management, we do summer pruning. You can check that out. Another thing is mulch. I don't know how well you can see there. This is due for a replenish of mulch. We're about to get a huge load, and the mulch conserves moisture and feeds the soil over time, so it's excellent for fruit trees. We use 3 to 4 inches of mulch, or even more for the almonds, but lots of mulch everywhere in our foodscape. And then we also water with drip irrigation. So those are my quick tips for success in foodscaping. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching Foodscaping Utah, and grow your own.